There's things that have to be cleaned up. People will say, same old Lions. I say no. You can't be the same old fans. Hey, so I want to welcome everyone back to More After the Game. We had an opportunity to see the Detroit Lions in their season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles at Ford Field. Unfortunately, the Lions lose 38-35. And there were some takeaways that I had from this game that were significant. Now, just to give you a little bit of a recap, earlier in the week, in my Wide Receiver Wednesday segment, I talked about some of the keys to the game. And ironically, those keys actually came to fruition. I talked about the fact that I picked the Eagles to edge out the Detroit Lions at home. But when we broke it down by players, and I specifically dealt with the offense because I felt that this would be an offensive battle. But I do believe if I talk about the offenses, it automatically will tell you what the defenses need to do in order to be successful. And if they shut down those offenses, then ultimately the defense did their job. And I mentioned that Jalen Hurts would be one of the key factors for the Detroit Lions to have to contend with. And the fact that last year he had 7 carries for over 70 yards, very effective in keeping the chains moving, sustaining drives. He was going to be someone the Lions had to deal with. Also, the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles ran their way into the playoffs. So we knew that they were coming in. The confidence in this football team is in the running game. And yet again, against the Lions knew what was coming. I knew what was coming. Most of you knew what was coming. And they still struggled to stop the running attack. And it's not because the Lions weren't good. It's just that Philadelphia Eagles are better in that phase. But I also talked about the fact that even though the Eagles were the better rushing football team, I felt the edge in terms of talent was over on the Lions side. You look at DeAndre Swift, who had a monster game, and Jamal Williams. When you look at those two combined, I'm telling you, I will argue that I think they're the top 5 in the NFL in terms of combination. I think DeAndre Swift is a sleeper running back that people have forgotten about because of the injuries. But ultimately, I've gone all in on DeAndre Swift, and he has not disappointed. Having a great day, opening it up with big plays against the Eagles. Jared Goff, I also felt that he had the edge in the passing game over Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts is a person who's going to do more damage on the ground running the football. His escapability when he floods the pocket, if you're not spying him, he's someone who can hurt you because he can get those chunk yards. He can become that additional running back out of the backfield, and then he becomes one-on-one. And there's no one in front of him until he gets and he breaks and abandons the pocket. With Jared Goff, he had more receivers. I felt, unlike Jalen Hurts, who had A.J. Brown, he also has Goddard, an excellent tight end who came in this year expecting to be one of the top 10 tight ends in the NFL, along with the Lions' T.J. Hockenson, that was going to be a battle. But ultimately, Jared Goff had the ability and the more balanced offense because of their ability to pass the ball, but also to run the ball effectively. The Lions came out and they proved that they could make some throws. However, it came down to it at the end, which team could be consistent in what their game plan was. I felt the Lions had a game plan in running the football, and I thought they abandoned it. Not necessarily early. I thought there was a good balance in going to the passing game when the Eagles made adjustments to the Lions running game. And the Lions were able to make some points, but they had too many 3-and-outs along the way. And that ultimately led to them falling behind, whereas the Eagles chipped away at it. And they did it by taking their running game so effectively, by softening up the Lions secondary, who did a great job in the early part, bringing pressure, shutting down the passing game, making Jalen Hurts have to beat them throwing the ball in the air, which they really didn't feel that they were capable of doing. But the running game softened them up enough to where the passing game came on. A couple big plays by the wide receivers, no containment on A.J. Brown, and then all of a sudden the Lions find themselves having to get back into this football game. Now, what to expect, when you're looking at the Detroit Lions and you're thinking, okay, how do they play this first game and what to expect? We didn't know what to expect. You come out of the preseason, and this is a team that there wasn't really a whole lot that we saw other than figuring out what individual players may do. There was really no sense of what this offense would do. We learned a lot through Hard Knocks. But ultimately, what we did find out today with the Detroit Lions is that this is a team that is different. The result may have been a little different, not much different, I'm sorry, than before in terms of having a loss. But it's not like the other losses. Yeah, it's a loss on their record, but I think this is a team that has made improvements. And most people who will say that they haven't, you're not looking at it the same way. I also believe that the defense is going to need a little bit more work. I thought the defense, against Philadelphia, giving up that many points. Philadelphia is a good offense, but they're not a great offense. And this is not the best offense the Lions will face this year. And it's one that I think has some balance, but it's not going to be the most balanced. It's more predictable than some of the teams that the Lions will face. However, having said that, the Lions missed some opportunities, I thought, offensively. Offensively, I think TJ Hockenson was a player that could have helped them sustain a few more of those drives. They got to figure out a way to get the running backs out of the backfield in the passing game and how to get TJ Hockenson on the possession style routes to get those 5 and 6 yard, 7 yard catches. It's not about him getting down into the secondary. It's not about him getting up into the second tier of the secondary against the safeties or the linebackers at this point. It's about getting those yards that will keep you in second and third and manageable down and distance. He is their key for that. I think the running backs out of the backfield. I think you look at Jamal Williams and the combination they have with DeAndre Swift. That 3 tandem there will give them an opportunity to wear down the linebacker, the safety, and even some of the linemen against their opponent. And, a lot of people go back and just to shift over, we started looking at these little things in the game. I felt there was an opportunity for the Lions to get better. There was an opportunity for them to hurt Philadelphia a little bit more. I think also when you look at the Detroit Lions, the onside kick, that's going to be talked about. Coach Campbell said the team needed the ball back. I agree, but I don't know if necessarily it was early enough or late enough in the game for them to need an onside kick. But ultimately, he knows his team better than we do. He talked about he felt that there was some fatigue factors. I don't know if that came into play on him making the onside kick. But I do know that he felt that at that point, for some reason, he felt his team needed the ball back at that critical time in the game in order to be competitive or have an opportunity to win. There's things that have to be cleaned up. People will say, same old Lions. I say no. You can't be the same old fans. You have to look at this and say, this is a team that is different. I expect in order to get away from being the same old Lions, though, I will agree with this. You got to win football games. You got to be able to win the games that are close like this. You got to turn the corner. The Lions are developing the talent. I see a much more confident Jared Goff. I see a much more confident receiving unit that is put together that's capable of making plays. They still have a little bit of work to do, but the strength of this team right now seems to be the offensive line and the running game. And I think right now the Lions can build time into the passing game to become more consistent and more trusted by not worrying about anything other than consistency and moving the chain. And having said that, I'll get deeper as we go throughout the week into this game. But right now, looking at where the Lions were, I thought time of possession was fairly even. You look across the major statistics during this game, the Lions competed. There weren't many things that jumped off. I think they also gave up a lot in 10-point swing with the pick 6 and then ultimately giving up a field goal without really responding. That ultimately, I think, sealed their fate in terms of having to play catch up the rest of the way. But all in all, this was a tough Philadelphia team out of the NFC East. The Detroit Lions, I think, are going to be stronger and better than we expected in the NFC North. So we will stay posted. We'll stay focused and see what happens next. But kudos to the fans for coming out, showing out for Detroit Lions. It was the loudest I've ever heard since I've been there, since the stadium opened. I could be wrong, but it was fairly loud. And now it's time for this team to do their part. So far, good start to the season in terms of seeing what this team is capable of doing and seeing that it's actually real. They now have to follow that up and now start to put wins on the board to get away from being what most will still consider the same old Lions, but I think it's not. And I look forward to seeing them next week. So with that, that's my take with more after the game. Come back and join me, and I'll give you more of my insights, not only during the course of the week, but definitely after each of the Detroit Lions games this season. So until next time, see you soon.
Perfect.